Good afternoon, and welcome to Everybody, the podcast which shares stories that highlight people in life, that make the world an interesting place, which ultimately ties us all together in unique and wonderful ways. And who am I, you might ask? I would be the head wrap socialite, wife, mom, micro-influencer in the fashion and etiquette world. But on this podcast, I will be introducing you to some people who I've had the opportunity to meet along my journey, who have helped enrich me in my life in beautiful ways, and who I hope will do the same in yours.
Wave at everybody, talk to everybody, be smiling, and just have a good old time among family and friends.
The 507 is not a bad place after all.
No, not when you can find people that make you laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
Family.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the good kind of family.
Yeah.
The ones you can choose.
Yeah, the ones you can choose. I think we need to make probably a jingle around this.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the next thing. I don't know how we're going to do it or what it's going to...
Get your cello out?
I'll get my cello out. Backed up to the sound of music. Or that'll be part of the...
Oh my God. Funny when you mentioned The Sound of Music, the musical or the movie.
Yeah.
Because when I imagine what I want my life to be or someone else's, Lewis's, I imagine the mom in the hills. She's in the Alps.
Yeah.
And she's got her arms stretched out and she's spinning.
Spinning, yeah.
And she's looking up at the sky and she's just smiling. To me, that is pure joy. And when I blow out birthday candles, when I make a wish, anytime I visualize that.
Right.
I don't ask for anything. I just visualize that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I might have to incorporate that in my birthday wishes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You got a lot of wishes?
Girl, yeah, I got a lot of candles on that cake. Yeah.
But as you get older, do you feel... I get better service at stores. People call me ma'am.
Oh, I like that. I like that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that part. I love getting older. The one part about getting older that I may not enjoy so much, though, is the creaks and the cracks that I could go pick up this mug right now. And all of a sudden spraying my wrist girl, I gotta go to ER. But it's the most bizarre things.
Yeah.
Seriously, I pick up a pencil the other day and I got a crook in my finger. There were 3 questions that I wanted to ask you.
Okay. Yeah, hold on. Let me turn this fan off because I'm not sure you can't hear it.
You got a fan on?
Yeah, it's on super slow.
It's hot there?
Oh, heck yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's hot here.
How hot?
Hold on, let me look. I don't know. I was outside. It's probably 75 during the day.
Oh, I'm angry right now.
It's very hot. My room faces the morning sun. So my room is always super hot. We've not had winter at all.
You can have some of this because it's 35 degrees here right now. And I think we're about to get another snowstorm.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not. My husband, he only wants to travel places where it's warm. And I'm like, no, took me to Florida for my birthday one year. And I don't want to go outside. Why are we here? So, yeah.
And welcome to another episode of Everybody. Today's special guest is...
come from a family of super achievers, but I also carry with me the bloodline of a lot of creative people. And so over the course of years, I've had the opportunity to be influenced and encouraged by family members who I've seen in industrial design, interior design. I had an uncle who was just an incredible artist by nature who passed away as a freshman in college, but I still have his artwork. So my path has taken me from, being the kid with the little weaving loom thing and pottery wheel, all kinds of crazy things like that parents buy you when you're little, all the way to design school at Rhode Island School of Design.
Hello.
Hi, Trina. I'm picturing you in a plaid dress, and you do have the beaded hair.
Exactly my beads, right?
Yes.
That was my signature hairstyle. I think I wore it up until high school.
It was amazing. It took me until well after high school to learn what my signature hairstyle should be, and it should not have been parted in the center, no matter how much I tried.
That is fantastic.
One day, I don't know how old I was. I was like, "Oh, my hair part's on the side. Oh, I've been fighting that hard for a long time." Don't force symmetry.
Oh, Pat, it's so good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
It's funny because in my head, I can still see us as like little kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, what are you going to do for the rest of the night?
I'm going to study.
Study for what?
I'm in nursing school.
Why did I ask you about that? I had no idea. Girl, if I had known that, that would have been like my first question. Like, what? How did I know that, T? When did you decide to go to nursing school?
When Nanny had cancer, and she was like, "You should do some of this stuff.
Oh, wow.
You could do this."
Like, how many more hours do you have?
I'll be finished next March.
Good for you, T. You're gonna stay right around there? Or you thinking about moving?
Well, I still want to be my registered dietitian. I still want to do that. So
okay. In addition to,
yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome, T.
Thank you.
Keep it going, girl. I told you you're my shiro. You're my shiro. Now it's like one more thing. I know the trophy wall. She's doing it. But yeah, give everybody a hug from me and tell your mom I said hey.
Okay.
All right, T. Love you, girl.
All right. Love you too.
I'm a big jazz fan, and I know enough to appreciate a great musician when I hear him or her play.
Yeah.
I don't know enough to be a great musician, but I know enough to hear it. You know, the important thing is to answer your question. I mean, the reality is someone's background, race, or whatever background they come from is irrelevant when you listen to someone play. I mean, all that counts is how well you play. So, for example, I think that every name that I just rattled off, you know, these are kind of my childhood idols.
Yeah.
Every name that I just rattled, I think, I'm thinking through the names that I rattled off. Every one of them is black, right? I'm not black.
Right.
But who cares?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, Cliff.
You know, I mean, they're great musicians, they're great musicians. And it's your question about bridging cultures. I think that's it. I mean, a musician has great talent. It doesn't matter what their background is. You appreciate their talent.
How every age is a nostalgic one. I really love reading the essays of E.B. White. So E.B. White of Charlotte's Web, he was an essayist, is what he primarily did with his writing. And he was just so aware of how the world was changing around him. And he delighted in living the old way. So he and his wife moved the family up to a farm in Maine from New York City, and to get away from the hustle and bustle. And he decided he was going to be a salt marsh farmer. But he was at the same time writing still for Harper's or the New York, whichever magazines he was writing for at the time. And his wife was a successful publisher, and they would go to New York quite a bit. So they escaped, but they were very much in the world and very comfortable. And he didn't need to be a successful farmer, but you know, his neighbors were. And their first winter there, they decided that, oh, it's snowing. We're living in Maine. We need to go on a sleigh ride. You know, oh, we don't have a sleigh. Oh, okay. You know, the neighbors will have a sleigh. They're asking their neighbors, and cars are driving by, and they're like, neighbors are like, no, we don't have a sleigh. You know, nobody has a sleigh. And they finally found one, and they're like, oh, now we need to borrow horses to pull the sleigh. So they go around, they find somebody they can borrow horses from. They hitch them up to the sleigh, and they go on this beautiful snowy sleigh ride. And the horses are just kicking up. Snow is in their faces, and it's cold, and they're miserable. And he recognizes, like, oh, you know, we're the crazy ones for being nostalgic for this fantasy of sleigh rides, because we've heard them in fairy tales, you know, they're in Christmas songs. But the reality is, this isn't what people do now. Right? You know, why am I trying to live in this previous age when we've got these nice comforts here? We could be in a car that's enclosed, it's warm, and you know, we don't have to go everywhere trying to find these things that our neighbors are like, the crazy couple from New York here.
Exactly. Here they come again.
They're trying to transport 50 years into the past.
Exactly.
And so he lived the experience. He set himself, he's like, he'd step back and go, Oh, no, time's funny. It moves on.
So with that being said, do you ever feel nostalgic about the past?
All the time.
Yeah.
About so many things.
Done cultural exchange between, actors that gone to train in London and others that gone back to Moscow. And a lot of Americans actually do train in Russia for like an intensive month.
Okay.
There's also the Moscow Art Theater is the other really famous one. Mahat, that's what that one is.
Okay.
And we were just at the other one. We were at Edie's. And we were there. It was January, so the middle of winter. And it was so cold. Like people in Minnesota here, it's cold here, but it's a whole next level cold. For the first 3 weeks in Fahrenheit, it never got above 0.
Oh, man.
Even during the day. At night, it was it would drop even further. You would go out and within 30 seconds, you were super cold and you were just walking to get to the metro.
Wow.
To get on that train so you wouldn't have to be outside anymore. It was frigid.
Yeah, and I complain here about the Minnesota winters. So I guess we shouldn't even complain about this because it's nothing compared.
Yeah, so the weather is a huge deal there. But the training that we received as part of my degree program in Russia was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The theater that we saw in Moscow, the Russian theater is unparalleled. The way that they do theater there, I never thought that theater could be done like that.
Really? What's the difference?
Just they completely explode your expectations of what a play looks like. They think outside of the box. They're like, how could we do this but completely flip it on its head? The use of scenery and props and music and movement. Movement is the huge part. The actors over there are extremely trained in physical theater.
Okay.
So they are able to manipulate their bodies in so many interesting ways that are great to watch.
Right.
They also take traditional texts. We saw a lot of Shakespeare when we were there. We saw a 5-hour Othello and it was insane. They had to have 2 intermissions because it was so long. And so we were at the theater for 5 hours that night. Captivating the whole time. You sit there and you were just drawn in visually. And it's all in Russian too, right? And I don't speak any Russian, but I didn't care. It didn't matter because it was I knew the story.
Yeah.
And I generally knew the sequence of the scenes. And I knew who the characters were. So I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
And that helped a lot. Because we saw another play it was called it was some Italian farce.
Okay.
And we didn't quite know the plot. So we were sitting there watching and it was all this crazy stuff happening. And they were all laughing. Yeah. The audience was all laughing. And me and my friends, we were just why is this funny?
Did you laugh?
Fun to watch.
Yeah, did you laugh too? Because.
So seeing Russian theater and we saw the ballet when we were there. We saw the Bolshoi.
Who is this Trina that exists now without my mom, without my grandma? So I had to really think long and hard. And there were a lot of boxes that I had to unpack within myself during that time. And I learned a good deal of who I was supposed to be and who I was becoming on the journey, even if at the time I had no idea that that's what was happening. So even with my mom and my grandma being here, they left me a lot of tools in my backpack, in my attaché case, in my big room of things. But they left me a lot of tools that they knew that I was going to need on my journey to finding myself without them here. And that's been probably, in the pain and the struggle, that's probably been the most exciting part. Because I don't know if even the podcast would have come about if they were still here. I don't know if me on social media would have happened if they were still here. I think they opened up that part of who I was supposed to be in that next phase of life.
Do you feel like you're following in their footsteps, like you've made a conscious decision to be them? Like it's your turn to be them, or are you your own unique Trina?
No, own unique Trina. Of course, there are facets of their being that I know they left with me because I can feel it. I feel it on a daily basis. But I know they want me to take those pieces, but then elevate myself.
That's what every parent wants for their kid.
That's it. To be
elevated.
Mm-hmm.
Learn from our whatever and then be better.
Be better. That's it.
It's great that you had those role models.
24 little hours brought the sun and the flowers where there be rain. My yesterday was blue, dear. Now I'm part. My lonely nights are through, dear. Since you said you were mine. What a difference a day makes. Skies above can't be stormy. Since that moment of bliss, that thrilling kiss, it's heaven when you find romance on your menu. What a difference a day makes. And the difference is
Have you ever met someone and their very presence made you aware of what things were possible for you? What do you believe your life's purpose to be?
I look at purpose from a spiritual point of view.
Okay.
I believe that we are all endowed with gifts and talents.
Mm.
Almost innately. I mean, you learn something, but there are some gifts you come here with, and either recognize them or not. But I believe everybody has a gift. They might spend their entire lifetime and never know it, but you have a gift. So whatever that is, I believe you have that gift and you've been endowed with it in order to fulfill your purpose. So I think once you really reflect and you really go in where all the answers are, you will learn what those gifts are, and you'll start to identify them. And they might be small things. Like people always say, I don't have any gifts. I'm not a gifted person. Well, you are. There's some predisposition that you have about things, about life, about what you almost intuitively know, think, and feel. And whatever that is, that leads you to what you will eventually do to make a difference in this world. And I think that's what your purpose is. Why am I here and what am I supposed to do to make a difference?
Right.
My purpose, as I see it, is to use my gifts. And my gifts, as I see it, are my voice. And that's my voice for speaking. That's my voice for counseling. That's my voice for teaching. And that's even my voice for singing. My voice is one of my gifts. The other is a gift of discernment, and that is of being able to see who people are and how they can most effectively work together. So I have held a lot of leadership positions, and I am still doing it now, even in retirement, of facilitating groups of people. I find myself in that role all the time.
But in the meantime, the hallway's dark, and he's like lighting the speed up on all these Legos. And he's like, I'm sure he was like cursing at us. I'm sure. So, do I want to tell the one part of the story, Keith, where we so we run into my grandparents' room? Am I telling that one? Am I telling that story?
Tell the one you want to tell, because they all the same now.
So I used to think I had the superpower and I could meld into like the dressers, whatever. And so we all used to have our hiding spot. Like my spot used to be by the closet door, by the dresser. Keith used to be on the other side of the bed, and my brothers used to be like behind the door. So this one day, and Keith's right, they all end up the same, but he comes running out of the door. For some reason this day, he misses the Legos. I don't know. Maybe he was his superhuman strength, my uncle. So he comes flying into the room. So before Keith has a chance to hide behind the bed, my uncle grabs him up. Keith, this is terrible. So I'm melded against the dresser, right? I'm like crouched down low. My brother's already hiding. My uncle gets my cousin. And he starts just imagine the worst case scenario, like my uncle just goes ham. So as my uncle goes ham, I can see my cousin's eyes. He meets my eyes. And basically he's like, help me. But I knew that if I would intervene, like I would get it just as bad. So I just stayed there and I'm like, I'm sorry. I like melt, I'm sorry. And I'm just like melted against the dresser. So that is our Lego story that
The
happened.
moral of the story is don't do stuff with your older cousins because they won't. Back for theirs, they might just let you be and get the whooping for everybody. Take them up for the team. Oh, Keith, we had oh my gosh, some great times. Like I wouldn't change it, like, and I wouldn't trade it. Nothing, not one part of it.
I want to thank my cousin for joining us on this episode to come in here and surprise his mom. And again, I just want to thank you, cousin Keith, and I love you from the bottom of my heart.
I love you too, Trina. I love you too.
I don't know. Life is then.
Yeah.
You life is too. Life is what you make it. Sometimes gotta put the people that are there for you are really there for you. They're there to help. They're there to pull you back up and say, "Come on now."
So thank you, Aunt Sonia. Thank you so much. I love you.
And I love you too. And thank you for having me, even though I was maybe the 6th person on your list. But that's all right. You got me. And
Thank you for sharing this time with me. I mean, it was just such a beautiful conversation, and I really appreciate you as a friend.
Thank you, Trina.
I love you.
I feel the same. I love you.
I love you.